GFC. I mean, anybody know what's widely the underpinning of what caused like Lehman Brothers to blow out and stuff like that? Let me know in the chat if you kind of have a grasp on what the underlying issue. It wasn't just it wasn't just housing. It wasn't just one thing. It was they were playing with something, a type of instrument, and it caused problems. And I'm seeing the same sort of thing starting up right now. It's really got me concerned here that one of these days may be the straw. And at that point, what do you think? Like, what do you think, really? So that answer would be derivatives. Derivatives are what really pulled the whole thing apart. We had derivatives on the, from mortgage-backed securities. We had derivatives. They were playing with all sorts of derivatives, and it was kind of crazy. It was actually really crazy. Now, look right here. Derivatives versus income for funds, assets under management growth. This is derivatives / income fund, asset under management growth. This is the growth. All right, it's not total assets under management. And share what? I've got I didn't start out with anything shared. So this is concerning that we're pushing this higher and higher. And derivatives were a problem back in 2007-8. They kind of slapped the bankers' hands and told them, "No, you guys can't trade derivatives anymore." So what do? They spun up all these ETFs that basically let them trade derivatives with our money. If you're in QQQY, all these yield max things, if you're in all these crazy dividend paying, some of these pay 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100% dividends, and they cost you the net asset value. And there's tons of them right now. And the shorts, the longs, the leveraged, even leveraged Bitcoin, BitX, BitU, all of these are derivatives. And look at the growth. Look at the growth in the money in these derivatives. Look at this craziness right there. This is the same thing that made the great financial crisis unwind, except it wasn't our money. It was banks' money. Now it's our money. Like, this is largely investors' money right now that they're doing this with. Same exact stuff. Just a different pig that they're putting the lipstick on. So, same game, same stuff, same leverage, same type of derivatives, and they're just doing it all over the place. And they're allowed to. Like, this is going to blow up. It's going to blow up. There's no way, no two ways to shake it. So, also interesting. That's the bummer news of the day. That's the next warning sign right there. And over here, check this out. Everybody wonders, like, how does Bitcoin compare on this halving? Like, I've seen a lot of people really bummed that this halving's just like horrible, blah, blah, blah. It's not doing anything. Here's the 2012 halving, 2016, 2020, and 2024, all laid on top of each other. We're just right in the middle. I mean, really, you look at it that way. This is the number of days since the halving. And we're just kind of hanging right in the middle. We're actually pushing a little higher this morning, but not really underperforming, not really outperforming. This is pretty typical price action. We were kind of in the lower bit there. I mean, when you only have 3 existing data points, a fourth one, You know, there's not really much happening, and it's pretty standard so far. Pretty standard so far on the Bitcoin moves. Probably got a few, I don't really expect big moves out of it for a while. Possibly even out to later this year. It could be December. But there you go. Hey, Kimberly, favorite subscriber. Speaking of subscribers, if you want to be on the chat, say hey, good morning to all these fine people saying hey, click the button over here. And for the person that gave me a super thanks yesterday, or super tip, or whatever it was, thank you so much. Like, that was the first one ever. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's a little, under the chat, there's a little $ thing, a little thing. Somebody actually clicked it and gave me a couple bucks. That was super cool. Super cool. So I do appreciate all the support everybody gives me. And, just buying the roadmap line that I'll show on all the charts here in a minute, down in the description. That supports me. All the things support me. The super thanks doesn't run through the company, so they don't take their big cut. Anyway, welcome everybody. Welcome. You want to be a subscriber? Click the button over there on the other side. The little logo in the corner. Be a subscriber. You can chat on the stream. And if I'm no longer live on the live stream, you'll have to leave a comment down below if you want me to take in consideration whatever you got to say. Anyway, all trading involves a substantial risk of loss. Past performance not necessarily indicative of future results. This presentation here, intended to be informational, educational, fun, and entertaining, is not a recommendation to be buying or selling anything. That's no stocks, no options, no bonds, no forex, no futures, no cryptos, no treasuries. Don't long them, don't short them, don't trade them. If you desire personal financial advice, you got to hire and consult a financial advisor. That's not what I do. Don't buy stuff from me either. If you don't trust me, make sure you trust whoever it is. Make sure you trust your financial advisor if you hire them. Most people out there are just trying to take some of your money, make it some of their money. I mean, it's kind of how we all get along, right? Making somebody else's money some of your money. That's how we all kind of get along. That's how the world works. If there were no problems in this world, none of us would have a job. That's kind of the truth. I mean, think about it. If there were no problems in this world whatsoever, none of us would have the ability to do anything for anybody. There would be no jobs. Anyway, it's a wild concept when you sit there and philosophize on this stuff. Anyway, we've got some Fed members speaking and not really much else happening today. As we roll into today's kind of a benign day, kind of opening a little flat. Monday, we got some international bank holidays next week. A bunch of Fed members speaking right here. Look at this. Bunch of them on Tuesday next week. Wednesday, get those FOMC minutes coming out, but not a lot of economic news. It's kind of interesting here. Seems like we're in some benign periods here where it's just not a lot happening, and the market just keeps grinding and grinding. So not a lot really burning down or burning up or burning anything. The list wasn't even that long today either. So interesting both ways. So anyway, Bitcoin trying to push higher here. Yeah, I got my alert system turned on. Let's pop over and look at the S&P. We got up close. Was that close enough? Or is this the final little pullback before we reach up and tag that? I think it's probably the final little pullback before we get up there. Probably going to reach up there and touch that resistance right there. It's been a long way coming off this pullback we did. Gave us the energy to get right back up here. This could be the ultimate top. If NVIDIA becomes the largest company in the land, suddenly we could be up here or even higher. So those things are kind of at play. The S5TH back at, almost breaking out at 80. Almost. Look at that. Look how close we got. We kind of poked up above it yesterday, just slightly, but then closed it back down as we drifted off into the end of the day. That stock's above their 200-day moving average right there. And S5FI, stock's above the 50-day, still making a lower high here. Are we going to ramp up to the 80? Are we going to ramp up, test that downtrend line? Downtrend high, down, look at this. Got it down, we've got a lower high, which makes a trend. If we come up, test it again, and don't break out, watch out for the return to the bottom. We could spike that new all-time high target on S&P and then roll pretty hard. Be careful out there. We have not visited the 20 line since all the way back here in November. You know, even this one that we just went through was not enough to push us down there. So that's a cautionary tale. The stocks above the 20-day, interesting to me that the stocks above the 200-day made a high above 80 yesterday, while the stocks above the 20-day did not. It didn't even, look at this. It didn't even really move at all yesterday. Little bitty doji. It's for almost 3 days in a row. There's something. The market's telling us something. I don't know what the something is, but you look back through here, you don't really see that except right here. See that right there? You don't really see those dojis show up on the stocks above the 20-day like that. I mean, look. The market sings the same stories over and over. And that was a set of red ones. I don't see any set of green dojis, though. Just when we're topping, it seems. Don't really get them down low anywhere. Not like we got right now. So, indicative of a reversal potential. I think that's what we've got right here. And this is the fastest ones right here, the 20-day. So this is caution. I'd say caution. That right there has me wondering what we're about to do. I don't know. It doesn't have a lot. It takes energy. You know, this is kind of like the market energy gauge, I guess you might say, right here. When we're maxed out up here, it's gonna, like, the energy flow is down. It's kind of like a money flow, energy flow gauge right here. And when we're down here, we've stored up energy and we can go up to the top. We're up at the top, we burned up all the energy and we're probably gonna go down. And right here, we're coming up shy of making a higher high. And it's really curious right there on the dojis. We just don't see that except when we top out and roll. So we could hover for a couple more days and then, I don't know, don't look too good. Overnight action, soft is what I would classify that as. And just kind of not a lot, just boring. So we reopened right there for the day, reopened pretty flat, filled, there's no gap there, and just looks like we could push higher, push up to the extension target. We have not held a breakout on ES. We kind of got slammed down. When you look at it, zoom it back up, zoom up, buttercup, right there. We tried to break out, slam back down, and we're sitting right here. Can we push it on higher? I don't know. There's a little bit of divergence between the pattern shown on ES, which is the futures for S&P, and they trade almost 24/7, and the cash index, SPX, up there. It's a little bit of diverging story. NASDAQ, looking for any clarity there, looks a lot like the ES futures right there. And then NDX, we look over here, looks a lot like the S&P, except we're not nearly as far along. And this one's definitely lower here than we were. It's curious. And then we go look at Russell, and we are rejecting that 786 level, not even getting close to breaking out on the futures. And then the Russell index, not even getting close on breaking out there. And Cracker Barrel, and somebody said that was going down to lower targets. I don't know. Anybody remember who said that? Sometimes I get lucky. We'll see if it makes it down to the 40 area. Getting close. Getting close. Anybody still short that one? Give me still in the puts. I actually booked it out when we hit the first target. Going down in a blaze of glory. It was the biggest decliner too. Funny. Let's see. Oil just hovering, man. Can't break above the resistance at the roadmap line. Can't break down below the support. Look at that. That's a pretty tight range. Wedged in between support and resistance. Let's see. When's the last time we really did that tight? Oil does not tend to not move. Like, I guess it was back here. Right here. Then we took off. A little spike in reverse. Another one right there. Then rip higher. And that one wasn't quite the same. There's a little consolidation and higher. Yeah, so consolidation such as the one we have now, probably indicative of going higher. Probably. So watch for a break of resistance. We've got the roadmap line. We've got the trend line that we're below. We've got that 618 level right there before we can get to the 90 area, and then 105 above that probably. Of course, we got that prior high right there at 94, but 105 would be the 618 level right up here where I expect it to go cruising off to right there. GC. Hey, good morning, everybody. And look at gold. Finally about to break out and go. Love it. Love it. Looks like we're done on this consolidation here. We do have resistance at 24.13, but the bigger picture, bigger pullback. Just clear it all up at this point. I can redraw it if I have to in the future. That high, that low. We closed firmly above that 618, even though we're in the resistance zone. A little trouble going through, but target is now up here, 24.90, roughly, right up there. And 90% of the way there, the 1.1448. So if we were using the new fun tool I built, if we had bounced off the daily roadmap line, which we didn't, let's see which one we actually did bounce off of. The 4 hour right there didn't trigger the entry because it's too slow, but that's the target right there. 24.70 would be 90% of the way to the 1272 conservative target. Pretty sweet. Anyway, that's where we're heading. More than likely. That's like 70 whatever percent likely. What was it? 60% likely on that time frame. But it didn't kick off the entry, so it's not actually that time frame. Something else. Alrighty. Now, for anybody that wonders about this, I've literally tested tens of thousands of trades at this point, and the odds are looking like high 70s, like 75, 77% that this pattern plays out right here that I show you all the time, the market roadmap bounce. If you want that indicator, links in the description down there. So it's pretty powerful. It is time frame dependent. It's a fractal pattern, and I've kind of done a few little things to this actual tester to filter out ones I think are more likely to work versus ones that aren't. So that's why when it fires off an alert, I'm pretty highly confident it's going to work. Bitcoin here, downtrend to highs. If we can break out, we're probably coming on up 79,000, possibly 84,000, possibly going to do the crazy move, maybe 100,000, maybe 300,000. Like, we'll be on the path. But we could just keep consolidating for the next several months. That's usually what happens on Bitcoin. We don't usually make a new all-time high until about 200 days after halving. So we could mess around in here for a while until out here in December, and then finally start breaking out and running. So just keep it in mind. It doesn't have to go crazy. Doesn't have to. Now, coming up next week, we have the potential ETF approval or denial for Ethereum. And is the SEC going to simultaneously deny it and classify it as a security instead of a commodity? I don't know. This is not very clear at this point. Gary Gensler may lose his job over it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of conflict going on right now. And if they classify it as a security, we'll probably get a knee-jerk negative reaction. I got out of my Ethereum, got out of it up here around 3,600, excuse me, not 1,000, 3,600, and just kind of sitting waiting. I have a little bit of exposure to it, but not like I did. Sold most of my exposure and waiting for this to flush on out and resolve whatever is going on here. And if anything like Bitcoin, when we get these ETF approvals, we'll probably see more. And we're not ramping into this ETF approval. So the market not really expecting it. And we may get further decline, even if they approve it. So that is coming up on the 23rd, which is like next Thursday, right there. DXY, finding support on the roadmap line. Now we've now set up a new pattern. Bum, 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 bum. If we break above this 618, 105.60-ish right there, we now set the stage to going on up to go visit the, look at that, 107, 108, 109 right there. 108.50 has been the target I've said for a while, as long as we're above the roadmap line. And bigger picture, this is all part of a correction, and we're probably going to come down here to the mid-90s eventually. It's just like, how long does it mess around here before we go down here? That's the long and the short of it. Big popper today, MSTR. Yeah, gap, man. Drop, pop, drop, pop. That's all on the back of Bitcoin, moving higher. And remember, this, while they are a large holder of Bitcoin, 214,000 Bitcoins, they don't have any leverage on this. So an outsized crazy move right here, going from here to here, increasing 48%, while Bitcoin only pops from here to here at 17%. That's hype. That's hype. That's traders hyping. All right. That is not a real, like, they didn't add that company value. There's the Bitcoin doesn't create more value for that company, right? It doesn't produce anything. It doesn't produce income. It's like sitting on cash almost. But, you know, Bitcoin can increase in value. I'm just skeptical here. Even if their 214,000 Bitcoins go to 300,000, that doesn't make the company hugely more valuable. All right. So be careful there. Definitely be careful. This is outperforming Bitcoin, and it may result in a drop to the roadmap line here. Highly, highly cautious. Highly cautious. The 618 level right there. If we hold that resistance, it can easily drop down right back down here. Be careful. And I just bumped that off the list. That's funny. SMCI. Dun, 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 dun. There's the resistance. It's been there for a while. As long as we're below it, down is likely. If we get above it, and it comes all the way back to these highs too, that 618 zone right there, if we get above it, probably 1360 on the upside target. Be conservative, 1330. And on the downside, back to the consolidation we did the last half of last year. Possibly even the consolidation we did for years before that down here at 100. Rent the runway. Look at that crazy pop. Let's see what this is doing. Man, that could be the end of that move. Is a reverse split. That's usually not very bullish. And the downside here at this point is 0. Yeah, that looks pretty bad. It looks like 3, possibly 2 on the downside. And there you go. It can pop up even a 50 and still be somewhat bearish here. Reddit. Nice potential here. Now, I don't have the history on the charts. You know, this was an IPO. We don't have all the history before it became public, but they are typically bearish. And this move so far off the low doesn't look like we're all done. Like we haven't created some sort of sudden bullishness price action here. Now it can keep on the corrective path. And like I said, we don't have the prior company chart. It was all, private equity back then, and they don't keep charts on private equity. So it's hard to chart what that looked like over here. Typically an IPO, 95% IPOs end up way lower low than what they IPO'd for. All right. It's not the absolute rule in the market, but for the most part, most things start out in a bearish corrective pattern. Even if they go higher off their IPO, they typically end up going lower because it's all a correction. Like they're correcting out the price action that we can't see over here. And this highly likely to go even lower than we have so far. Highly likely. If this was a lower low, could be the bottom, but this is not the kind of price action that's indicative of a bottom so far. That's just one little move with nary a pullback. Coin. Dun, 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 dun. Coin. Come on, go for the roadmap line. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. I really, really, really want to see this come down here. I will hunt for a position if we hold this and start turning back higher. AMD, nice potential. We're going to have to get above 190 to indicate we're going higher. Upside target, 250 once we do that bounce. Otherwise, we may come down here. Docs. Moving the nice potential there. Let's see what we got. See what we got. That high, that low. This is a measured bounce, actually. So I actually did the fibs incorrectly. This is potential measured bounce, especially with this move here. If we get the daily close above that, it's game on. This one could go much higher. Crazy potential up to 50. Right up in here. I might buy a couple shares just to see if that works. It's pretty sweet. It's a measured bounce right there. And this is the kind of price action that's indicative of a reversal off of a low. And you can see this is IPO, ramped up, corrected. That's indicative of making the final low and reversing, popping up to the roadmap line, reversing back below it. And now we could build something much more bullish on Doximity. The immediate target before we consolidate again would be somewhere up here around 40 to 50. And we do have this resistance right in here that we've got to get above, this orange zone right here where all this prior consolidation was. It may turn down from there again. So there you go. It doesn't matter what they're doing. That's the chart pattern. All right. Dun, 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 dun. Good morning, everybody. AMAT. Consolidating in the highs. Watch out, watch out, watch out. Let's see the upside target right there. We're coming up right to it. And I have the magnet turned on, don't I? Yep. Turn that off. And snapping all sorts of stuff I didn't know what to snap to. So 223 upside resistance and 235 above that. May come visit the roadmap line eventually. That's support, and right where we are is resistance. So DD, DuPont, numerals. And just choppy price action. Golly, look at it. I don't like to trade stuff like that. That's just been, it came up off the lows, but it hadn't gone anywhere. Like it's indicative that the correction is still ongoing. It's just not doing any kind of bullish anything there. I don't like it. Don't like it, sir. I don't like it at all. And look, that was a lower low than this one right here. Higher low than this one over here. So it's all conflicting. Like it's not clear. That's why I say it's not clear. This made a lower low, but when you look at this, it's still higher low, and we poke below that. It's just unclear. We've got uptrends, we got downtrends, we got just sideways choppy price action. It just is unclear. I don't like it, and there's better stuff to look at. Connell, this back to one of those derivatives where I started out this morning. Look, we're 2x leverage long ETF. We're at the roadmap line. If coin actually goes down and touches its daily roadmap line, this will probably be underneath, but there's the level right now. This level right here, if we break above, it sets up to potentially go up here. Pretty beautiful. And those are big numbers. When we're talking 40 to 100, you can make some money on that with shares. You don't got to play options all the time. All right. I do like options. Like I would probably play shares on this. More and more I'm playing shares, and shares are capital intensive, but you can play one share and make $40. How many? Are you usually happy when you play $100 option and you make $40, $60? I mean, you play a couple shares. There's no time decay on shares, so. Just throwing that out there. And as I said, Cracker Barrel coming down to that target at 50. The bigger target down here, probably 40 if we get there. This was the upside down market roadmap pattern. I talked about this a while ago. And I don't even remember when. Gosh, February, maybe before that. Maybe it was back here. November. It was probably November when I first talked about it. But here we are. Sometimes I get lucky. It was in the chart. It was in the chart pattern. You can see it right there very clearly. Very clearly. Even with that lower high, it was still very clearly in the chart pattern. It may go on down to 40, and it may go out of business. Look at Red Lobster right now, barely hanging on. GME, right down to the 618. Look at that. Yesterday, I draw an arrow. Today, here we are, right there. If we turn right here, so this is very key. This could be huge right here. This is scary, but also wild at the same time. All right, this did a measured bounce. Like it popped up, it came right back down to that support. Right there in the box, and did it in 3 or 4 days. This is where you can lose money big very fast. All right. This is a little bit like gambling. If this goes, it has potential to go all the way up here. I'm not even joking a little bit. This is, but it also has the potential to go down to 6. So there's your downside. 6 upside, possibly 2 to 400, 100 even. It's kind of crazy that even a corrective move up puts it up at a higher high. So be careful. 100, 200, 400. That's pretty nuts. Really nuts, actually. Really, really nuts. You can lose money really fast on this. Do not get FOMO that you're going to miss out on some kind of big crazy thing, all right? I bought shares back here, and I've been sitting in it for a long time. All right, I've got like, after the split, I had 3 shares. Now with the 4-for-1, I have 12 shares, and I've just been hanging on to them. If we get this crazy move, I'll probably sell them out. But be careful. I've been sitting in it a long time, so. DXC, look at that. Ouch. That was upside down roadmap line. Bounce right there, off of there, and right to the target, 15. Now that could be the bottom, or it could go on down to 12. Flutter. If we can get the close above this consolidation here at 200, 240. If we reject it, downside target would be, survey says, back down to 165 area. Right in there. So there's support. And there's the upside resistance. Is it worth it? I don't know. And then cake. Nice pop yesterday. Cheesecake Factory. But we hit resistance and retraced. And we may come back to the roadmap line. That's one big... Look, I mean... Why did it turn down there? Because it's the 1618. Like once you see these fib lines and see these patterns, it's very eye-opening. It's kind of crazy how this works over and over and over and over. And if we look at this, it was probably didn't even trigger. It's kind of funny. Didn't even trigger the entry right there. Must have been something's not quite. I don't quite have it on the right high and low for that to not trigger. Yeah, it was probably a penny or so, like right under the 618, and then it took off right to the 1618. Wild. So that one, watch out for a retrace all the way back down. Does it have to go that low? No, we can hold these prior highs right here. That's going to be a support. Turn this back off. So we have support at these prior highs right here. We can hold above that and go higher. It does not have to break down. It can hold here. If it does get below that, though, probably come back to the roadmap line. Highly likely. Highly, highly likely. All right. That's the list for the day. Not a lot cooking. Now, biased for the day. I'm super cautious. That may have been it. That's the target zone, but that may have been it right there. If we go look with my new 90% of the way to the 1272, my new conservative target line. Look what we turned on. Look at that. Look how creepy. You want to talk about. Look at that. Maybe my new favorite line. I don't even know. I look at that right there. 53.09. Right on the money. Rejecting it pretty hard. Be careful. Be careful out there. And have a great day, everybody. I will be in Discord most of the day, working on, and I'll be in Discord, but I'm working on this new tool. I'm furiously building some new tools, new alerts, new systems, it's a lot of new fancy stuff, and stay tuned. I'll have more details about it as we go along. Echo Trades are getting a preview. My Termire Trading Lab people getting a preview. Even Opening Bell Alerts getting a little preview of all the action that I've been working on. So hope you have a great day out there. We'll see you again soon. Bye for now.